that are killed off. Like we just killed, Ali Larijani, who was a negotiator, who was eager to get us a deal. Again, look, I've got no love for the IRGC. I've got no love for the Iranians, but you've got to realize,
just to be clear,
if you want it to end,
in case you're tuning in now, you fought their proxies.
I fought their proxies. I mean, I put countless of them in flex cuffs or much worse. I've gone after the Iranians. I was in, specialized outfits that went after the Iranians and their proxies. These are very serious people.
After Trump failed to achieve victory against the Yemenis, the Houthis, back in February of last year, February of last year, he said that, the Yemen's Houthis are brave, courageous, and strong fighters. You probably remember that. Well, he's now having another moment of realization in this war with Iran. It's coming a lot quicker than it came for him in Yemen, but this is what he had to say about the Iranians the other day.
More. Only because people don't understand it's a big chess game at a very high level. It's a very high level chess, the highest. And I'm dealing with very smart players. These are smart people. They don't get there. When you deal with some of these people, you're dealing with high level intellect, very high IQ people. Much more, only because people don't understand it's a big chess game.
So he says it's a big chess game, and Iran's leaders are very smart, high IQ people, very high IQ people. Yes, I think White Claws in the chat is correct. I would normally say that Trump isn't even participating in this game of chess that he's referring to. He's playing checkers, but actually Trump is not playing checkers. He's not even playing Monopoly. He's playing like snakes and ladders. And, he's on the short bus playing snakes and ladders. And the Iranians aren't even playing chess. They're playing Wei Qi, which is a Chinese game that's more intense even than chess. But, he's having this realization that I am screwed, right? I am screwed. I must add that these statements were before the assassination of Ali Larijani. Ali Larijani, the man who before this war was really leading a lot of things up in the Supreme National Security Council for Iran. He was the one who was traveling to Moscow to meet with Putin and the Russian, Ministry of Defense. He was the one that was traveling back and forth, going to Oman. He was having discussions with the official military and intelligence personnel from Ansar Allah, Yemen's Ansar Allah in Oman. He was talking with everyone before this war began. And during the war, his words were obviously very impactful on the entire global community as he was a voice of reason and sanity as we watch this chaos unfold. Listen to what Joe Kent had to say about Ali Larijani just the other day.
That are killed off. Like we just killed, Ali Larijani, who was a negotiator, who was eager to get us a deal. Again, look, I've got no love for the IRGC. I've got no love for the Iranians, but you've got to realize,
just to be clear,
if you want it to end,
in case you're tuning in now, you fought their proxies.
I fought their proxies. I mean, I put countless of them in flex cuffs or much worse. I've gone after the Iranians. I was in, specialized outfits that went after the Iranians and their proxies. These are very serious people. They're not, supermen by any means. They're humans, but they're serious. And if you give the IRGC a reason to take more control and they get support from the people, because again, you kill off the Ayatollah, they can say, hey, the last guy was too moderate. Look at what it got us. Like, give us more control.
I get it.
And the Iranian people are going to be like, well, actually, yeah, I don't like getting bombed by the Americans and the Israelis. Maybe we do need to listen to the IRGC.
So a lot of these, the points that you're making, I think are insightful.
But isn't that kind of exactly what happened? Like they tried negotiations, they tried diplomacy, they tried all this bullshit, and at every single turn it became all the more clear that the US was hell-bent on war. Oh, another military base here. We'll put a military base in Erbil, in Baghdad. How about two in Baghdad? Prince Sultan in Saudi Arabia. 5th Fleet Navy Command in Bahrain. We'll put one in Kuwait. We'll put one in Abu Dhabi. We'll put one there. This, that, and the third. We'll put one in Qatar. It's like Jordan. Isn't that the whole idea that the entire time we've been on this road of diplomacy since the JCPOA, the U.S. has been building up for a war on Iran. Is it stupid to assume that the sentiment that Joe Kent is referring to here about what should the foreign policy be of Iran to secure the stability and security of the country, the sovereignty of the country, like, is that incorrect? No, of course it's correct. 100% it's correct. It's like, that is what's happening. That is what has happened now for decades. So Joe Kent does line out the fact that, yes, Ali Larijani was the negotiator, as they say, and they killed him. They killed the negotiator. That's what they did in Gaza, right? We know that for a fact. They did that even in Qatar. They bombed the negotiation team of the Palestinian resistance in Doha, Qatar. They failed in killing them, but they did try to target them. Right. So they took out the leader of the Iran Supreme National Security Council. But very interestingly, we have someone new who has now replaced him. That is Saeed Jalili. Now, Saeed Jalili is a very, very, very interesting man in Iran. If you have been following my content for years now, you have probably heard me talk about Saeed Jalili. Saeed Jalili was the man who came in second place during the Iranian presidential elections some years ago, back at the end of 2024. He came second place in the elections. It was a close election. Personally, I think he outperformed Dr. Pezeshkian on all accounts. I think he's but the Iranian people somehow or another decided to elect Pezeshkian. If you speak to Jalili supporters, they have questions about that election. They have question about the fact that Raisi was killed in this helicopter incident. Attack incident, whatever you want to call it. I think it was an attack. And then you have Pezeshkian that wins the election. I'm not saying Pezeshkian's a bad guy or anything. I think he's fully committed to the country. I think he's fully committed to the revolution. I mean, by God, he was almost killed in the first 12-day war. But when you look at the vision that both men have for Iran, they do have very different visions for the future of Iran. Saeed Jalili is a hardliner to the max in Iran. He has a very strong economic vision, a very unique economic vision for Iran. And frankly speaking, the economic solution that Iran needs will be the solution that actually answers this question of how do we deal with the U.S. Because if they can find a way out of economic woes and hardship, they do not have to worry about the U.S. being a threat anymore. Same with getting a nuclear weapon. I mean, it becomes, far more contentious at that point. But you look at the odds of them getting a nuclear weapon and having economic solutions to the issues that they have, and really no longer do they have a problem in the U.S. It becomes much more difficult to be painted as a target if you are Iran. And Saeed Jalili, he's some might call him a humble barefoot peasant revolutionary. His campaign manager during his campaign is a man named Dr. Amir Hossein Sabati. And this is a photo of him right here. You may remember him. I discussed his official statements a lot in the lead up to this war. He was the man who, in the lead up to the war, he's a member of parliament. He said, if until today there was 1,000 reasons not to negotiate with America under the current circumstances, Trump's threat last night and his setting off of a 10 to 15 day deadline for an agreement with Iran is the 1,001st reason, proving that negotiations with America will be fruitless. The fact that Trump says Iran has only 10 to 15 days to reach an agreement with America means one of two things. Either Trump's decision to go to war with Iran is already final, and he once again wants to use the cover of negotiation so he can blame everything on Iran and say that because Iran did not sign an agreement, America was forced to carry out a military campaign, or he was saying this to apply more pressure on Iran in order to receive greater concessions in the negotiations. In either case, negotiating with America under such conditions is neither honorable nor beneficial for the country. I wish the president, the foreign minister, and the decision makers in the nuclear committee of the Supreme National Security Council, the leadership committee of the Supreme National Security Council, would for once abandon this repetitive and failed recipe, negotiating with the U.S. under any circumstances. In my opinion, we should announce the end of negotiations and make it clear to the U.S. that this time the war may not last 12 days and it could last 120 days. The way to prevent war is not to negotiate with America at any cost and under the shadow of threats. The real way to prevent war with the U.S. is to convey a message of power and to prove readiness for a long war of attrition. This is something Trump absolutely does not want, and the prospect of a foreign war will certainly influence his decisions. So that's the campaign manager of Saeed Jalili, the man who is now replaced. He's also a member of the parliament, the assembly rather, in Iran. He's very young. He's very bright. He's an author. He's a doctor. And personally, I think he is the future of Iran's political leadership. And he is in lockstep with Saeed Jalili on their future, the vision for Iran. If you want to read more about what they think about the future of Iran, I will share this with you. You can read about his economic vision if you want to check out some of this stuff. This Twitter account shares some of his thoughts and visions for the future of Iran's economic issues. But it is interesting that Saeed Jalili, this extreme hardliner, is now in control after the assassination of Ali Larijani. If you look on Wikipedia, it'll say that like Ali Larijani is some hardliner. Really, he's more of a unifying figure. He definitely comes from the branches of the reformist crew in Iran. But right now, Iran is one big team. It's one big unified country, unified around the flag. But it is worth noting the dilemma that the U.S. is creating for itself right now by striking these figures, killing these figures. They're literally killing the people that are more inclined to some sort of a deal with the U.S. All right. I don't think that's going to work out well for them. It's also interesting that literally the day before we saw Saeed Jalili, before we saw the assassination of Ali Larijani and before we saw the appointment supposedly from Mojtaba Khamenei of Saeed Jalili as the de facto leader of the Supreme National Security Council in Iran, I tweeted this out. I tweeted it in Persian because I specifically want my Iranian followers to read this. Javad Zarif was shouting during the elections that Saeed Jalili's presidency would drag Iran into a regional war. Now look at the reality. Javad Zarif is like the kingmaker of the reformists, the ultra liberals, the ultra we should have peace with the West, political actors within Iran. He personally, I find him to be I don't find him to be a person that has the best interests of Iran at heart and the future of Iran. So during the elections, Javad Zarif was backing Pezeshkian. And for a brief period of time before the 12-day war, he was even like a shadow minister, shadow vice president type figure in the Pezeshkian administration. Thank God he was removed from that position. It was unconstitutional and also very damning, I think, for the future of Iran. But this is what I had to say. Javad Zarif was shouting during the elections that Saeed Jalili's presidency would drag Iran into a regional war. Now look at the reality. Saeed Jalili lost, but Iran is still in a major war, the war of all wars, an existential war. The Zionists' real goal for Iran is completely clear: total destruction. The Islamic Revolution can only survive and thrive under the leadership of far-sighted leaders like Saeed Jalili and Dr. Amir Hossein Sabati. So this was before Jalili was named as the leader of the Supreme National Security Council. No one had any idea who's going to be named. No one had any idea who's going to become. I literally tweeted this out, not even knowing any of this stuff was about to happen, obviously. And now it has materialized. Before the war began, I sent a letter to Dr. Amir Hossein Sabati on Twitter. I sent in his private messages. He followed me and I sent him a message. And I won't reveal what I said in the letter, but it was a very positive letter. And since then, Elon Musk, Centcom, Trump, they have now banned the account of Dr. Amir Hossein Sabati on Twitter, so you can no longer read his words. I believe that these are the only true Iranian leaders with a bold economic vision. These are only men who refuse to sell out their country, unlike those who would sell even their own mother just to free up frozen funds in American banks. So now we are at a point in time where everyone in Iran, even, the reformists, are unified behind the flag. They are committed to the patriotic duty. But we have even the most hardline factions in control now. Instead of getting a Delcy Rodriguez, Donald Trump created an Iranian Kim Jong-un, if you will. And it is only going in that direction moving forward. All right. So very, very interesting developments. Everything is backfiring, as you can see. And, well, it's going to be, I think, very, very interesting to watch, not just for the duration of this conflict, but also after what will undoubtedly be an Iranian victory, what the future of Iran holds. Before you leave, I want to say thank you for the support, because after 2 years of being banned, we are finally back home on YouTube. So be sure to subscribe to our channel and also join as a member on our channel using the link at the top of the description. I rely on the generous support of viewers like yourself to get the truth out to as many people as possible. You can also support the show on Locals or Give Sin Go. The mainstream media and the powers that be are never going to stop attacking us for bringing the truth to as many people as we do. Thank you so much for your support.